I signed up in Brooklyn.
Right.
It was all criminals. It was all criminals that didn't want to go to prison. So they had a choice. You could do 4 years in prison, or you could do 4 years working. I was actually working for one of the 5 families of New York.
And you didn't realize?
I didn't realize. So we were selling meth out there. So I was getting meth from America and selling it to the soldiers. Because no person should go through the trauma that me and some of these young men went through, especially with like war and then you find out the real reasons and you realize you're just a number, that they're just using you as a number.
Hello, we're with Anthony today. He's a ex-veteran US military.
US Marine Corps.
US Marine, yeah. He's going to tell us about his story today. First of all, just tell me about your upbringing and sort of the environments you were based in and where you're from.
Perfect. So originally, my family is from Eastern Europe, Poland, and they've immigrated to America in the late 80s, early 90s.
Right, okay.
So father came over, then brought the whole family over. It was me and my mom. I was very young at the time. I was about 2 years old. So
whereabouts in America?
So straight to New York City.
Straight to New York, yeah.
Yeah, so Brooklyn. They immigrated to Brooklyn and just started from there. So obviously my journey into the military started basically from just being thankful that America gave my family a good life.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, you know, I wanted to do something.
In return.
In return, give something back to them. So I decided to join the military. I thought that was a great thing at the time, you know, when a lot of my friends were getting into trouble and kind of steering away from the right path.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I thought, well, maybe if I go into the military, I'll make my family proud, I'll make my parents proud, and I'll be on the right path. And
yeah,
what would you say was the wrong path? What were your friends getting into?
So my friends were, as a young man, you want to be a part of something, a part of a family or
a clique of some sort.
Yeah, a clique of some sort. Yeah. They were getting into gangs. You know, in New York, you have the Bloods and the Crips, and it's meaningless because, like, why are you guys fighting with each other? It's not about money. It's about colors. Like, pick, you know, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? But if you influence a young kid the wrong way, it will make sense to him. And because he's wearing red and I'm wearing blue, and we're from this town and he's from that town, it didn't make sense. But they were getting into a lot of silly trouble, where, you know, if you wanted to be, let's say, a police officer or a judge or anything powerful in the future, you wouldn't be able to because you got a criminal record now. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to go that path, you know. I wanted to be someone special maybe, or just at least make my family proud.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
So was that it, like the kind of understanding that you want to do something for your family? Was it the values of
values,
your
like
moral compass?
Exactly,
and that came from family,
compass,
right?
Yeah. You kind of want to do the right thing for them, you know.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask, I'm going to stop you there. What was the sort of propaganda around the time to get people to sign up to the military?
Right, so it was a good time, I think. I went into the military right before 2001. So it was like 1999, 2000s. You know, military was booming. You get free college tuition.
Yeah.
So if you want to do school, so that was the main thing. Because I was like, I want to be like a doctor or something. I'll go into the military. I'll work out. I'll do some running. You know, get fit, and I'll get free college tuition. And they had this grant. So if you pay into it so in the military you get a paycheck like a normal job. And from your paycheck they take like 20 quid and put it into this. It's called a GI Bill. So then when you do college, you don't pay for nothing, not even accommodations. Like that GI Bill covers everything. So that was the selling point. Like if you want to be a doctor, come join the military. You could practice on soldiers and get a full doctor's degree. You know, I mean, they sold it like candy.
Like it was like here we see like army adverts, and they kind of make it all seem
army of
quite
one,
positive.
you're one
Yeah,
family,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
this and that, you know. Meanwhile, you're all strangers that are trying to fit in somewhere. You know, so but I've signed up. I was 17 years old. Yeah, I was very excited. I did, like, the recruiter came to my house, you know, told my parents about, you know, this great life being in the military, traveling, and you're gonna see the world and this and that. Fucking sold me a dream, you know. It was amazing. I was like, I can't wait. So my father signed the release paperwork for me to go into the military, because I was 17 years old at the time, and I would turn 18 while I'm in boot camp. So while I'm in training, I would turn 18 years old, and then I was fully legal, so I could hold a gun and all that, you know. Because at the time, at 17, you're not allowed to even hold a gun.
And the legal age to hold a gun in America is 18, right?
Yes, correct.
So you're allowed to hold a gun at 18, but you're not allowed to booze at 21.
No, you can't have a drink, but you could definitely shoot some things or people or whatever
crazy.
you want.
Well, we see it. Unfortunately, it's obviously publicised.
Yeah,
it's happened recently, hasn't it, with the Donald Trump thing? Have you seen that?
Was that about?
And that was a young kid as well.
Yeah, it was a young kid. He was
him getting hit in the ear probably was
good publicity.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to topic.
So
sorry.
I signed up. I went in. I was working at a school at the time, and we turned on the news. It was first thing in the morning, 8 in the morning. We turned on the news, and the Twin Towers in New York are burning. Right. So I was in New Jersey, so I was just across the river.
Yeah.
But Twin Towers are burning, and we've been told there's a plane that hit into one of the Twin Towers. And we're like, no way. It's like a movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we come up on top of the school, on the roof of the school, and we're looking across the water, because it's literally across the water, and you can see the towers are so tall, you could see them from, you know, 3 states out, you know. So, but we were close enough to where we could see it. And we're like, yeah, they're burning. Like, this is real. What's going on in the news? It's actually happening. It's not, because we thought it was like propaganda or something.
Of course, yeah.
But it was real. And I at that point, I realized, oh, shit, I signed a contract to go into the military. Yeah. But because of what happened, that it was a terrorist attack and this and that, there was an influx of a lot of young men that signed up right after that. So with me, as I went into the military, there was a lot of young, angry men that just wanted to fight back.
And then within, see it as rebellious.
Rebellion,
coming to our country, smashing up our towers.
So within 3 months, we were out in Iraq. Flew on private American Airlines right into Kuwait. We picked up our gear. So all the gear was shipped over on ships into Kuwait. And those ships were controlled by a private company. So it wasn't a military company.
No shock there.
It was a private company. And guess who owned the company? Dick Cheney, which was the vice president at the time. So the vice president, before he started the war, decided to open up a logistics company that will move tanks and weapons and all this gear.
Oh, that's a coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah, some sort of coincidence.
That one out.
400 million later, with moving gear, we started the war. So before the war even started,
they were planning.
This guy already made 400 million on moving the gear. And this is all on Google. Like, you can Google it, and it will tell you.
It's all
Dick Cheney had this company. Blah blah blah. It's all out in the open. You just got to look at it. So, young soldiers, we go into Kuwait. It took us 32 days to get to Baghdad. So we were. No showers, we had baby wipe showers. I don't know if you ever
I have.
Wait, but
you've never gone to a festival and had to just baby wipe?
But it's
wet
100
wet wipes done.
That's how you have a shower.
All your
wet
bits,
wipes, isn't it?
toes done.
It's like in the middle of July, like it's summertime. It's blazing out there, 140 degrees Fahrenheit
out there
during the day.
Yeah, so we used centigrade.
It was crazy, and there was no air conditioners, so. Like the way we used to cool water bottles down is you put a wet sock over a water bottle, and you leave it like on the roof of a Humvee while we're driving, and it cools down the water. It's like natural.
The wind,
It's crazy the things that you learn after a while, and
that's more science. Than anything else. Really.
But you just learn it because you're out there.
Yeah, of course, and it's practical.
Yeah, it's practical, and like It saves your life, you know. A nice
that
little
sip
cool,
of water,
yeah, in 140-degree weather, it really helps.
I'm dreading going Turkey next week, man. Let alone going out to the desert.
So we got in there. Obviously, the war happened. A lot of bad stuff. You know, I'm driving. There's like a dog eating someone's face. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
So there was
just when you're first like landing.
Yeah. So as we're going up,
reality's hit basically.
Reality's hit. So you got helicopters that come through, shoot everything, blow everything up, and then we come through right after them. So they're called, I forgot what they're called, Scorpio or whatever. They have like these crazy names for them.
Yeah.
But it's a helicopter just filled with rockets, and like the whole weight of the plane is just ammunition.
Yeah.
And they just shoot shit everywhere and just level everything out, level the whole ground out, and then we come through. But these guys were very smart in the way they would fight the war. So they would put a dead cow in the middle of the road, and they would daisy chain it. Daisy chain is small little bombs all along the highway, all along the motorway.
Across.
So as you stop the convoy, because they know we're going in a convoy, as you stop the convoy, you have to move the cow. As soon as you move the cow explodes, but it also sets off all of them. So even if you don't move it, if you blow that cow up, let's say you shoot a rocket in it, you blow it up, right? We clear the way. As soon as that thing or cow gets moved, all the other ones start going off. So it's not going to kill you, but it's going to injure you to where you can't go
to the next
further. Yeah. You're going to have to get medevac, you know.
Yeah. Which costs more anyway than someone dying.
It's worse to... When you die, you just leave them there and just keep going. When you don't die and you're still alive, you got to act upon it.
Try and preserve that life, right?
So it just prolongs. They actually don't want you dead because it slows you down worse when you're sitting there working on someone. They could ambush you. And
Of course.
So they know what they're doing. They were very smart. And...
it's their right to be smart, though. You're coming to imagine someone coming to my house right now. I'm gonna say, "Go on, guys, just take everything."
And they were great warriors. Listen, before America went in there, Saddam Hussein was a very powerful, respected man. So in the beginning, we were sold as young soldiers, as young men, young U.S. Marines. We were sold that this is a terrorist. He goes against every NATO rule. He's horrible, made a bunch of killings, unauthorized killings. And they sold us this dream about chemical weapons. There's chemical weapons there that he's not letting the UN check. When we got there, the chemical weapons were so old, we couldn't even blow them up. It was just dust. So after 20 or 30 years, that chemical weapon, if you don't maintain it, it just turns into powder.
So when reality sort of sunk in about all the chemical weapons and all the stuff you've been told about the war, and now you're out here in a different country fighting loads of people.
Yeah, you start thinking to yourself.
Do you feel wrong? Yeah. You start thinking to yourself, like, what am I actually doing here?
What am I doing?
Your moral compass is thinking, should I be on those streets in New Jersey just selling some bits and bobs?
Exactly, I'd be better off. Honestly, my mental state would be better off and my pocket would be better off, you know what I mean? Because they weren't paying us much.
Maybe your friends were in the right game and you got in the wrong one.
Exactly,
Who knows,
I was thinking that.
I'm not saying they're in the right game, as in, but probably safer than what you were involved in at that point.
They were a lot safer, you know what I mean? Because I was getting shot at left, right, and center. And it wasn't pretty. But so when we were actually there, a lot of things happened that didn't make sense. So they hired, I'll give you an example. Like they've hired... we call them Hajis, but it's just regular civilians to come work on base.
Right, okay.
And as they're working on base for us, basically, the bad guys found out that they're just trying to make some money for their family, but they're working with the Americans.
Yeah.
So they chopped off their heads. So we went on a convoy around the base afterwards, like every couple of days. So it doesn't matter if you're a cook or if you're a mechanic, every third day, one of us is going on a convoy around the base just to check the base.
Cool.
Because you're still...
Check the perimeter.
You're still feeling uneasy, right?
You're still a soldier at the end of the day, and you still got to do that job. But your secondary... Your first job is a soldier to kill and to, do what you're told. Your second job is your you're a mechanic, you're a cook.
Like you were saying,
or
you're a
chef,
you're a
or
refrigerator guy. Yeah.
So I was a refrigerator mechanic, and because I thought I don't want to go into the military, just be a finger puller. You know what I mean? Like just
Trigger
Someone
puller.
on the
Trigger
field
puller,
all the
yeah.
time, yeah.
Yeah, that's not gonna give me a degree when I come out to the civilian.
Or the satisfaction that you were looking for.
Exactly.
In terms of like,
'cause I
you know,
wanted
what
The
you
new
wanted.
life.
Yeah,
innit?
yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted,
Life, new
like, just-
beginnings. You don't want to go sign up to the army to go kill random people.
No, yeah,
Once
you-
reality sinks in as well, thinking, oh my God, there is no mass weapons of mass
Yeah, what
destruction.
are we doing
There is no
here?
this.
Yeah.
What are we actually doing here?
Yeah.
So surely you want to like, I don't know.
And it
go down
wasn't
the right
until
route.
it wasn't until later on in life. So I've got friends that are Iraqi that are the same age as me, and they were there while I was serving for the U.S. military, and they actually told me how they explained to me how the war started. So there was an American oil company in Kuwait that was digging oil, and basically they got to a certain level underneath the ground where the oil kind of pivoted and went, so the quarry or whatever you call it underneath
Quarry, yeah.
underground with the oil, it had levels. So one level was at the Kuwaiti level, and then the other level would go down and go a bit to the left or right.
There's loads of oil, put it
There's
that way.
loads of oil,
Loads
but
and
it just
loads
goes
of oil.
deeper.
Yeah.
And to get that oil that's deeper, they had to go into the Iraqi territory.
But we knew it was all about that as well.
So,
Always.
so what happened then is Saddam Hussein basically said, why are you guys taking my oil? This is Iraqi land. You're not supposed to be taking it.
Yeah.
He saw it on radars or whatever, because they have those radars that they put on the ground, and it shoots the radar down into the ground and checks everything. So as he realized that they're taking his oil, but their excuse is, listen, we're digging in Kuwait. It just so happens
That we've ended up in
We've ended
Iraq.
up, but it's all underground. You know what I mean? We were in. So he said, no, you got to stop. And they're like, well, no, we don't feel like we're doing anything wrong. So what Saddam Hussein does is takes 2 buses full of men with AK-47s and goes into Kuwait and goes into the American company and says, stop drilling or I'll start shooting the place up. You're stealing my oil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that point, the American company obviously called the UN, called everyone else.
Of course.
We've been threatened by a leader. And basically what the UN said was that he broke two sanctions
Yeah, oh, right.
or treaties, which is invasion of another country and something else. How do you invade a country with 2 buses?
Yeah. It's a bit mad.
And no rockets, no tanks,
just guns. Yeah.
just guns.
Any excuse, though, isn't it?
Any excuse.
Any
to
excuse,
start a
let's
war.
be
And
honest.
that was enough.
Put it this way:
To
any
start a
excuse
war.
to get the money over the.
No,
the
any
finish
excuse to go and make their minerals theirs.
line.
Of course, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's
That's,
what I mean.
that's
yeah.
the actual aim here. Like, no, these minerals are going to be ours now.
Correct. Yeah.
Unlucky Saddam.
And
We're
gonna-
coming in, we're bigger
gonna
and better.
Put some old chemical weapons that
Yeah.
are basically.
That's what they tried going on about, right? They kept saying he's
that could
got.
have been set up. You know,
Like, every
they were
country's
so-
got. Every country's got them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, what
yeah.
country doesn't have nuclear weapons?
Well, it's their defense. It's part of their.
Surely
their
every country
defense.
now has nuclear weapons. I'd like
But
to think.
the only difference is the UN could go into that country and inspect them, whereas Saddam Hussein was like, I don't want you to inspect them. For
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
They're old. They're dead. They're not in use. They're not going to cause
They're inactive.
environmental.
They're
yeah,
inactive.
they're inactive. They're not going to cause environmental havoc or nothing like that. Just let me be. Leave me alone. You know. And they obviously America took that as a threat, and why not? Let's
Why
make
not?
some money on it.
Because we can.
Yeah.
Because we can, innit?
Of course, yeah. They've got the muscle. They've got the power, man. They got.
Biggest army, most powerful army, and that's a fact.
So that the reason, literally, was that 20-year war. Think about it, 20-year war.
yeah, it's mad,
They
isn't
didn't
it?
pull out until
20
recently.
years.
20
wow.
years.
Mad, isn't it?
all
And they just
for
literally
oil.
left everything there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Up
That,
and
goes,
left.
that goes unsaid as well. It goes on for
So
20
we've come,
Wow.
rinsed your country,
But it's
killed a
not even
load,
that.
killed a load of your people.
All the Americans
And
that
we're just
got
gonna go.
fucked in the process.
Yeah.
All the young men that are with PTSD now. All the families that lost
It's
their
what I'm
their
saying.
sons.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
of
mean?
course.
There's
For
a
what?
lot of deaths like that was through guys racing with a Humvee Humvee flips over, kills 4 guys that were in the Humvee. Like, just like crazy. They weren't even like fighting
on the field, just small little things.
Small little
Because
things.
that family having a laugh, let's go out on the Humvee, and then
Yeah,
whatever happens, you could go out for a little stroll and
They're
step
just
on a mine
bored.
or something.
It's
whatever.
you know, let's
Boredom.
shoot some shit.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they flip the Humvee over, they're dead. But how do you explain that to their mothers and
Exactly.
their families? You know what I
Exactly
mean?
that.
Like, your son's dead fighting a war, but it was actually an accident, you know?
I want to ask something as well. Butch actually brought it up to me before the podcast. So in England, a lot of people sign up to the army from North,
Yeah.
because they don't have a lot of opportunities, jobs,
Yeah.
or whatever, and the army looks appealing. What is the American like model? Is it just like I'm gonna fight for my country, or is it like
the guys?
Because you guys are a little bit more nationalistic than
Yeah,
us.
this is
like,
crazy.
As in the
How
stars and the spangles and
how
all
it
of
works.
that. Yeah.
The guys that I signed up in Brooklyn,
right?
it was all criminals. It was all criminals that didn't want to go to prison. So they had a choice. You could do 4 years in prison, or you could do 4 years in the military.
Yeah.
And
Well, you
because
know
they
which
were
one you're gonna
they
take,
were
yeah,
17, they're like, well, fuck it, I'm going to the military.
Yeah.
And then you had these hick boys from like North Carolina, and you know.
So
all
like
that.
the outback states.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were like, you know, go Trump, I want to kill everything. Yeah. So you
Yeah,
had
that kind of
you had
stuff,
that,
yeah.
and then you had like proper like gangsters that are like, man, I don't care, bro. I'm just here.
Yeah,
'cause
just
I'm
trying to
not
do
in
my
prison.
4 years
no
and
choice.
do
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I don't feel like shooting. I don't want to do college, you know. But and then you had the other group that was the yuppies. That were yuppies are young urban individuals, or it's it's an American thing.
See, yuppies here
Yeah.
are like middle class people.
Yeah, middle class.
That have
Yeah,
all
correct.
got like have come from well esteemed,
Yes,
wealthy families.
So
and
those
stuff like that.
those
Yuppies,
guys,
is that what
yeah,
you-
yuppies, yeah,
even know that.
What yuppies?
yuppies, yeah.
The yuppies are coming. Well, you know the.
Yeah, they're like sweaters,
Oh,
you know,
hi,
Chelsea
guys.
boys.
Yeah, the Chelsea boys. Yeah,
with their,
that
with
kind
their
of stuff.
khakis and their, you know,
Yeah.
chinos and nice sweaters. So those guys
Their
went
slick
in.
back hair.
Yeah, those guys went in because of the free college tuition. Because you know you had
Even the rich kids want to
schools.
steal the system as well. Yeah.
Of course, man. If mom and dad doesn't have to pay for it, why not?
Lovely,
you know what I
isn't
mean?
it?
So it was a whole genre of just different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And it worked well.
But in terms of like here, like I said, because there's so much like so many low income areas up north.
Up north, yeah.
London's a bit different. Southern, like London specifically, is very different because obviously, majority of the economy's here in London. When you go to other areas, was it that kind of way? Like, was it low
yeah,
social
it was.
income
But
families that are?
I'll
kids
tell
are
you
coming?
this: a man on a low income family he has his brain together. He wants to have eventually a family. He wants to get married. He wants to do the normal things.
Yeah.
The problem is when you take a young man like that and he signs up to the military. Now, I'm not saying the military is horrible. For some people, it's good. It gives them discipline. It gives them a lot of good benefits.
Yeah.
But for, I would say, 80% of the people, especially when you're going to war, it fucks them up completely.
Yeah.
To where they don't want to have kids because we're shooting kids at war. So what was happening is they were sending kids in front of the convoys to beg for candy. Because we used to get Skittles in our MREs. MREs is called, it's a meal ready to eat.
Yeah.
MRE.
Soldier. Yeah.
I just wanna-
they're
'cause
horrible, man.
Whoever's listening,
I've seen them.
might
I
not
have
know
seen
what it
them.
is.
Yeah.
So it's dried food, basically,
Yeah.
that's good for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So we used to get Skittles in there, and we used to give them to the kids, just to get them away from the convoy, get them away from the truck.
Because you don't want something happening
Right,
to
so
them,
what
right?
these guys would do is put explosives on the kids and send them onto the convoy. So even if you give them the candy, the kid still stands there. They blow the kid up. It affects the convoy. You can't move forward.
Did you ever have to have you ever been in a scenario where you've seen something like that live in front of you?
Yeah. So I had a little trip that we made around. So like I told you, every 3 days you
Go
have
and
to
do your
you
little
have to do your
convoy,
little
yeah.
convoy, little circles, and we had a 5-ton truck. So it's one of those big trucks with the 50 caliber machine gun.
Yeah.
So 50 caliber is a huge bullet. It doesn't even have to hit you. As long as it grazes you, it will rip your arm off. It's a very powerful gun.
Yeah.
It's used to stop tanks and vehicles, like heavy armored vehicles.
Yeah.
It's not meant, by
to
the
just be
by the Geneva Convention, you're not supposed to use it on humans,
Right. Okay.
on people.
Okay.
So we were on a convoy, and there was 2 men walking in the distance. There was an old guy and a young guy. So we're thinking it's father and son. They're coming back from work or something. You know, no harm done. But as we're getting closer, because it's the desert and everything seems very hazy.
Because of the heat?
Yeah, the
Because of
heat.
the heat and the sand?
Correct. The
Yeah.
heat bounces off the sand.
Yeah.
And you can't really see correctly.
From,
So you got the
is
heat
that
waves going.
until you
Correct.
get close to it,
Until
right?
you get close to
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes when you get close to it, it's too late.
yeah.
You got a bullet in your face.
Oh.
So I had a young private up on top. So I was a lance corporal, which is the next step up.
Mm-hmm.
We had a private that fresh, 18 years old, fresh in the...
How old are you at this point when you're going?
I think I was like 19, 20.
So you've had a couple of
I've
years
had
already.
a year or two in there.
Yeah.
Because I was out there for 2 years.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
So I already had some time in. I kind of understood certain things. Whereas this young kid is scared and he's on a machine gun.
And he's
Problem.
green as well. He's
Yeah.
green,
That's
fresh.
one big
Like
problem,
Fred,
isn't it? On
it's
the
a
main
problem.
big gun and someone's
Yeah.
nervous.
And so he got nervous. He saw something in their hand that looked like an AK-47. And he opened fire. He just got nervous. And he's like, I'm not dying. You know what I mean? I'm going to shoot
The
them
fears
first.
hit him kind
The
of
fears
thing.
hit him.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. If he was up north and went to college, he would have been a normal kid. Probably had a family by now and everything.
Yeah.
This fucked him up so bad because he was scared. He was in a foreign country. He was with people that he didn't know.
Yeah.
He opened fire without, because you have to ask permission to open fire. So he's asking, but the sergeant is like, bro, I don't know. They're not shooting at us. He's like, well, fuck that. I'm not going to wait. You know what I mean? So he opened fire. Anyways, they're dead. 50 caliber machine gun ripped them apart, bro. There's fucking pieces of them everywhere. And we pull up to them and we realize it's a shovel. It's not a.
So they're just civilians at the end.
They're
of the
just
day.
civilians at the end of the day.
Innocent folk.
Bro, this guy is crying. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna spend my life in prison. I just killed 2 people." We're like, "Shut up! You're not. No one's gonna know about this. No, it's just the 3 of us. If the 3 of us keep our mouths shut, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing was. We didn't see anything.
Yeah.
That's it. We had an AK-47 in the back of the truck.
Would you have made that decision again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a young kid, man.
That's
He
it. Yeah.
didn't
That's
know.
why I'm asking
He
because
didn't
it's,
know what
it's
he was
that
doing,
case. Yeah.
Scared.
Scared.
He
bro.
shouldn't have been there.
Scared for. He shouldn't. Absolutely.
And that's
bro.
you
He
guys
should
have
not
made that
been there.
decision on the spot, understanding that this guy just shouldn't be here.
Yeah, he's just a young. Obviously, we took him off the gun straight away.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
drive.
But you ain't done any
Just
of that
fucking-
again.
don't give him anything. I
Steer
might
clear
get,
of the gun,
I might get a
dude.
bullet in the
Keep them
backpack.
bottles of water cold, mate.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will be telling someone.
Yeah, but we threw a AK-47 on the ground and just kept it moving. Later on, as like the investigators came out and fucking saw them and pieced them together, they realized that those guys were setting those booby traps, those daisy chain bombs. So they were digging bombs to because as they checked their bodies, because obviously we threw the gun on the floor and we called it in.
Yeah.
We're like, they fired, they fired on us.
Yeah.
We had to react, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Everybody gave their statement, all good, all covered.
Yeah.
So as they checked the bodies, because obviously now the proper way, because they were Muslim, you have to put the body together.
Correct.
And wrap it up in a white, white
sheet.
to bury them. And we had to fucking dig the hole and bury them because we're the ones
The next
responsible.
day, preferably, and within 24 hours.
Yeah.
ideally.
So as they were checking them, they realized that they had wires for explosives. So that they had, and that's how they put the 2 together. Right, these guys were actually setting up.
Okay,
booby traps,
like you were saying, the daisy chains.
the daisy chains that affect the convoys and stuff. So, in all reality, the kid did the right thing, but at first it didn't.
At the time, it didn't feel that
the
way.
whole
though, right?
situation fucked him up. He had to get deployed back to the
America,
States.
yeah.
because he just wasn't coping. He wasn't responding. He wasn't frozen, bro. He wasn't listening to orders. You know, he was just a mess.
So what, in terms of, like, let's say, for instance, you're out there and you just want to leave. Will they allow you to?
No.
So what's the process
So the process would be you go to prison. So
because you're going against
the
declaration that you've given to say that.
So you said, because you're government property at that point.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
when you
sign that contract.
Even let's say, even when you drink alcohol too much or smoke weed or anything like that, you're they could put a charge on you saying you're destroying government property. Like, this is how
if someone wanted to, they could do that, right?
Yeah. If normally they just take your money away for a couple months, take your rank away, take your money away, and just punish you in that case.
Yeah.
But there's those severe implications sometimes when it's real bad, where if they want to lock you up, they'll press different charges on you.
Yeah.
Where basically you signed your life to the government. For those 4 years, you're government property, you're destroying government property. Now we can give you 5 years in prison.
Yeah.
You know, and the problem with military prisons is that you do 5 years in prison and then you get out and you have to do another 5 in the real world. Yeah. So like a normal. So you
go
do
5 years in.
Yeah. So
you do 10 years, man.
Yeah.
5 in army prison, 5 in normal prison.
Yeah. So you do
That's
it's called the brig. So you do the time in the brig.
Sorry, man. You
and
guys
then
have
get
got
out
some of this so backwards,
because
man.
you're a trained killer. You're a trained individual. So what you're doing, I'll give you an example. I had a guy. So we were selling meth out there. So I was getting meth from America and selling it to the soldiers because
there's a big problem, a big
just
opioid
cool.
problem, right?
I was
As well.
18, 19 years old, and I could do it. So why not?
Yeah.
I made a fucking fortune. Listen, I was with a girl who had 2 kids. Bro, I supported her the whole way. Bought her a new car. You know, it was good. It worked out for me. We were selling alcohol because it's a dry country, no alcohol.
Yeah.
So we were sending Coca-Cola bottles, half filled with Jack Daniels and half with Coke.
Yeah.
And selling it to the boys for 150 quid. A pop, you know what I mean?
Killing it, yeah.
Bro, a bottle of Jack Daniels was 15 quid at Tesco's, you know? Like, we were killing it, man. So we gave this kid some meth because he's like, bro, guys, I'm really tired. You know, I'm on post for 24 hours. I just want to feel busy and, like, you know, I'm going to do some push-ups and I just want to feel awake. Dude, the worst fucking mistake ever. Obviously, he was one of those young boys that just came in.
Yeah.
We gave him some meth, and he's on a big machine gun again. And he's guarding the post, right? So there's a guy. There's civilians, but at nighttime they release the camels so that the camels could graze and walk and eat some of the grass because there's little bits of grass here and there. So like the animals need to graze.
Yeah.
So he was so high because he had his night vision goggles on. So he was looking out for the territory, right? Looking outside. He was so high, he thought it was an alien. So he saw the camel and it had green eyes. And he thought it was an alien and he thought the aliens were attacking him. So
fucked up, isn't it?
So he goes and offloads a whole magazine, bro. Like a whole, which is 1,000 rounds on a camel. Bro, everyone wakes up. This is in the middle of the night. It's like one in the morning. You know what I mean? And it's nonstop. It's like
shake you up. Surely
yeah,
you'd be
bro,
like,
you're like,
alert.
fuck, dude, we're getting attacked. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Bro, everyone fucking running out. Bro, the guy that grazes the animals runs out. Oh, my Habibi. Oh, my God, my Habibi. You know, fucking camels in pieces, man. Yeah. Like, it's a 50 caliber machine gun. And
that's his livelihood at the end of the day as well.
Bro, that's how he makes his...
That's his livelihood,
yeah, money is by, you know, renting the camels out or whatever, you know, for tourists or whatever it was.
Yeah,
like,
people ride camels or,
yeah,
you know.
but even the military would rent them
as travel.
Move. Yeah, to move
to actually transport stuff, transportation.
Bullets and stuff. Yeah, because the terrain is sometimes it's difficult to truck on certain terrain.
Yeah, because it's so uneven.
So it's easier just to rent 5 camels, fucking get this ammunition over to the other base, you know? And it's a way of them doing business together. It's like the way they call it is it makes the civilians feel safe around the military.
Okay,
Right,
yeah,
not
because you're
against
building
them.
relationships
Yeah,
at the
you're
end of the
ba-
day.
it's
You got to.
Some
haven't
sort
you?
of level of trust there,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, this kid goes into court because now he's getting it's called NJP, non-judicial punishment. So they're gonna take his rank or fine him, like take his money away, and so we're you got 3 witnesses and he's on the stance and the judge is asking him. He's like, "Why did you offload 1,000 rounds on a camel?" And he goes, "Well, sir, I thought the aliens were attacking us," and we're in the back,
It's
man.
you.
And
This
we're
is
like,
your fault.
We're like,
Yeah.
you know, we're
Yeah,
laughing,
yeah.
we're pissing ourselves.
Yeah,
we're like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
kid's fucking off his mind, man. And you know, he was just like, he was like, "Boy, were you high or something?" And he says, "No, sir. I had the night vision goggles on, and I just saw green everywhere. You know, because with those you see green.
That's all you
And he
see,
said,
yeah.
So in terms of, you know, like I've never had a pair of night goggles on, but you know, you see them in the films and all that. Is that a real?
Yeah.
So that's a real depiction
it's
of
green.
Yeah.
Because it's so dark that it just brings it up.
Okay.
There's some sort of a chemical inside of them.
Okay.
That makes it green. I'm not really sure how it works.
It just gives you the ability to see very clearly.
Yeah, but if
though.
I flash a flashlight while
Yeah.
you have
Red
them
light.
on, you could go blind.
Oh,
Because
really?
it's so
Really
powerful the way they.
in terms of whatever the
Whatever
chemical is inside that lens.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Now maybe they do it, but the old ones were very dangerous because if you had them on and someone flashed a light in your face, you'd go blind for a couple minutes. Like it
Just,
mesmerizes.
yeah, okay.
Because it's so bright. But anyway, so this kid just got into a little bit of trouble. It was no big deal. I think they paid the guy a lot of money for the camel.
Yeah.
Just to keep the relations. You know what I mean? And
Keep
I think,
peace, right?
Yeah, keep peace. And I think they gave him like a military contract where he's because he had a bunch of these camels. So where he's moving equipment for the military and all that. So it was all good, but the point of the story is a lot of these young men are being affected.
Yeah.
For what? For oil?
This is
At
what I'm
the end of the
saying.
day?
For what purpose?
For what purpose? And then I've got to tell you, my job was a refrigerator mechanic. So I dealt with the dead bodies. We call them fallen angels.
Yeah.
So it's all the Marines
Corpses, yeah.
that got blown up or whatever. And there was a morgue, and one of the refrigerators in the morgue went down. And they called me. It was around 4:00, and I remember I just had chow. I just had some food.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Listen, refrigerator went down. Can you come down and fix it?" I said, "No problem, but it's on the other side of base. The base is very big.
Massive, yeah.
It takes me 30 minutes to get on the other side."
Oh, bases are that big?
yeah,
Yeah.
that big. They're massive. They're massive.
Massive.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Like,
We're
if you were to
talking
do a
like
circumference of your base, what are we
I
talking?
would say Brumley, the
Okay,
smaller portion of Brumley, like
Okay.
where the city center is.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay,
along that
so large.
You're talking
then.
about
Yeah,
5
yeah,
mile
yeah.
radius.
Yeah.
Or maybe even bigger sometimes.
Okay.
Depending
on how big the base is.
Yeah,
obviously.
depending on how many rockets they have to protect the base. Like
So it's all dependent on what we
On
can.
the arms
Okay,
and what
fine,
they
that
can
makes
defend it
sense.
on.
yeah. Because once shit goes down, it's the response that they could respond and shoot it out of the air.
Have you yourself? Sorry to interrupt.
All good.
Have you yourself ever had to kill someone, and have you ever struggled from PTSD? If you don't mind, if you don't want to share
Yes,
about it,
yes.
you
So
don't have to.
the story that I'm getting at here
Go on.
is the struggles that I myself and a lot of these young men go through. Is I got that phone call about the refrigerator. All it went down. You know, the bodies are decomposing. Within 30 minutes in 140 Fahrenheit heat, the body decomposes quick. You can fry an egg on the hood of a Humvee.
I bet.
No problem.
Yeah,
Of course you can,
So, but I just finished eating. By the time I got there, when I opened that refrigerator, the smell hit me. Dude, I puked straight away,
Yeah.
all over my clothes, all over
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
And then I had to start working, start messing with the wires and start rewiring it because some of the wire, it gets so hot where the wires just burn. They just melt
You know,
completely.
you know when you get a really smelly poo, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Where you go?
after a couple of minutes, you stop smelling it. Does that happen with dead bodies? Because I've never.
It does. It
Okay,
does.
that's
But,
what I was asking. Yeah. I know it sounded
it
random.
takes a lot longer than that.
Because you know them ones, you're like,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
You
and
have
then-
a smelly poo.
yeah, I know it's
It takes
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
longer because it's just there's a lot of smells.
Of
there.
course,
It's not-
yeah. But in
there's-
terms of, I've never smelt a dead like body, for instance.
it's
I've heard it's the most horrific smell you could smell.
yeah, it's like poop, the worst poop that you could have
Yeah.
mixed
Times,
with
yeah.
with like some sweaty balls and whatever.
My thing
whatever
about the
else.
poo, it was more getting used to a smell after a certain time. But yeah,
Yeah, it does phase out after a while, but then what? The way I would think is give respect to these men because they've lost their lives for you. Just suck it up and do your.
that's
fucking
it.
job.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just trying to kind of
Suck it up and do it because their families will thank you for it afterwards. You know that's the mentality I was going in there with.
Yeah.
But then, so as I'm fixing the fridge, I've got it up and running and everything, and then a helicopter comes in with some fresh guys, and they put them in a morgue, and one of these guys was so fresh. I've never seen this before in my life, and I never thought this was possible, that it could happen. So they laid the guy on the table. And because his body is so when someone kills you, your body is still working. Your nervous system is working.
Yeah.
Your spinal cord is working
for a certain period.
for
Yeah.
a certain period of time.
Yeah,
and especially if you're getting killed in a trauma kind of way,
In
you're
shock.
Yeah,
It's
in
like your body
shock.
goes into shock, right?
Correct. So your body is still moving. So as they laid this guy on the table, fresh, his upper body literally lifts up, and it's his spinal cord that
Is
kinda
active still.
Is active, and it just cramps.
Must
up.
have got a signal from
Imagine,
somewhere.
yeah, imagine like a muscle cramp or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So his muscles kind of cramped up, and lifted the whole thing up, dude. Guys are running out of there, zombies, this and that. They're screaming. I'm like, wait, bro, the guy's dead. Half of his body is missing, bro.
Yeah.
His arm
He's
is off.
definitely not with us
He's
anymore.
dead. He's not with us anymore.
yeah.
Just let's put him down. So we had to break his back and put him back down.
Because it was stiff, obviously.
Yeah, and then they process him and put him in a body bag, and
Okay.
but just dealing with shit like that
Yeah,
at
yeah,
18,
yeah.
19 years old,
It's gonna fuck you up, innit?
you're gonna come back a different person, bro.
So when you did come back and you did leave the army, what did you sort of turn to? What was the sort of life that you
So
moved on from the army?
you're very confused when you come back because
How old are we at this point? Sorry,
So
let's
at
get
this point we're 22, 23.
Okay.
So 4 years, 17 going into 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 I got out. By the time you get your wits about you, like,
it takes you.
it takes
I'm
you
guessing
a,
it takes you a bit of
a
time.
year or
right?
two. So I was actually stuck in California because I was stationed in San Diego,
Oh,
California.
Hollywood.
No. San Diego is probably one of the most beautiful places in the world, and it helped me kind of heal because the weather is perfect, the girls are perfect, everything's just amazing there.
Yeah.
But
I've heard good things about San Diego. It's nice.
you haven't seen your family in a long time. So my father called me up and he says, listen, we miss you. Come home to New York and you could live with us at the house. We know you're not 100%, but maybe this will kind of help you if you don't have to pay bills.
wanna be there for you.
Reacclimatise, isn't
Yeah,
it? They
just-
just want you to
They're
feel the
like,
love again,
listen,
right?
Yeah, don't pay bills. Just stay with us. Hopefully, you get back on your feet.
yeah.
Because I was married at a very young age because you feel like you need a family to come home to, especially when you're coming back from war. So I met a girl, married her young. It doesn't work out when you're that young.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You don't. You're two different people that you don't really understand each other's wants or needs.
I always say to people, don't get into a serious relationship before 25.
Correct. Yeah.
Until you
'Cause
properly know
then
yourself.
you kind of know yourself what you actually want. So that didn't work out.
Yeah.
My father saw that I was struggling. He's like, dude, just come home and try to put yourself back together. So I flew back to New York from California, and I had no one, because all my friends are. This is
In the army, innit?
4 or 5 years later.
Yeah.
All my friends
You
were in
just
the
created
army.
a whole other family. in the
Correct.
army,
Yeah. So now you're looking for a family to belong to. You want to be a part of something,
Mm-hmm.
and
Some belonging, isn't it?
yeah, just people looking after you like they did when you were in the military. So I started doing security because I couldn't sleep at night.
Because you're obviously quite small and people are going to be
but
scared of
it
you.
was
innit?
also I had a lot of trauma. Like I had a lot of nightmares and I couldn't sleep at night. And I said, well, fuck it, let me do security. at least I could make some money at night.
Mm-hmm.
I could kind of turn my brain off and you know, concentrate on something else like girls or, you know, just anything else.
Yeah.
So as I started doing security in New York, a lot of people started getting interested in me because obviously I'm ex-military and I'm very big.
Yeah.
And I know how to fight. I know how to handle myself. There was a couple incidents where we had fights where I choked the guy out without punching him. You know, like I was able to do certain things or calm the situation down.
Capable.
Without actually causing
You do all the
havoc.
you could do all the close combat stuff, right? Training.
Yeah, so they teach you a lot in the military because what they teach you in the military is you don't want to kill the guy. You want to suppress him to where he gives you answers.
Yeah.
Because you're going to invest what's that called?
You're interrogating him, right? If you are going to go through that process.
So you don't want to hurt him to where he's in so much pain where he can't say anything.
Yeah.
You just want to, you know, break an arm just so he's in a little bit of pain.
But
not,
so he knows that you're serious.
Exactly, but you don't kill him.
And you had to do stuff like that? Did you have to do stuff like that?
No, but they teach you.
Okay, so, fine. Yeah. You weren't ever put in that position.
No, war nowadays is like a video game. You're looking at a computer and you're just shooting rockets. It's very... The only time when we were clearing bunkers, we got one guy that was half dead, but because what happens is you bomb everything. So then they hide in the bunkers. And as we were opening, so I had 3 weapons when I was out there. I had a 12-gauge shotgun that was sawed off. I had my M16, and I had a 45 Colt, which is pistol, but it's very powerful.
That's strong.
Right. Yeah, it will stop you.
Okay.
It's like elephant hunters have it, you know.
Okay.
It will stop anything that's big. So as we were clearing bunkers, there was one guy that was still half alive, and then we offloaded, I think, like 30 rounds in him. So, like, because we were so scared. Bro, you're just so scared. You're like, fuck, something's moving. Where? I don't know. Just shoot everything. Fuck it. You know, but...
Did you have them sort of effects when you left the army?
Yeah, so then my father had a pump in the basement that would suck water out. And as the pump would go off, it would give off like a big thump. So it was a sewage pump.
Starter pump.
Because he had a toilet downstairs, and the plumbing was a little bit higher on the ground level.
Yeah.
So the water had to be pumped out and put into the sewer on the ground level. And it would always give off like a thump. And my father used to say, you know, you scream at night when that thump goes off. I said, no way, man. You're messing with me. He's like, no, I'm serious, bro.
Must remind you of
so
subconsciously something's ticking away there.
Still there. So obviously I started doing the security because it just kept me busy. It kept my mind going. And I was making money at the end of the day. So once I started doing security, certain people started getting interested. And I didn't realize, but I was actually working for one of the 5 families of New York.
And you didn't realize at the time?
I didn't realize because to me, they're just nice guys, nice fellas.
Yeah, you don't see that side.
They try, like
Sopranos,
the military,
for instance. That's one of my favorite programs. Would you say that that's a good depiction of what goes on?
Yes, yeah, that is.
Because HBO usually get it spot on. Because like The Wire, I know a guy from Baltimore, and he's like, "Look, man, it's a really good depiction of
it is
what life is really like there."
Yeah,
so you got involved.
I was living in New Jersey as well.
Yeah.
So
well, that's where
I was
kind of
I was seeing everything, but they owned a lot of stuff in New York. You know, obviously they invest their money everywhere because no one wants to be a drug dealer at the end of the day, especially when you're old like that. They want to clean the money. So whatever they're doing, or you know, whatever businesses they're in, but they own a lot of different things. They own the rubbish companies. So
all of that's quite
in New York. They
waste,
have
isn't it? They call it waste.
Yeah. But they have private companies, also private towing companies. So on the motorway in New York, you have one towing company that will only pick you up. So no other towing company could pick you up when you break down. Only that one, and it's because that family pays the government.
Yeah, it's all part of that contract, right? So they do have the contract.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking of time.
Yeah.
The 2 things I wanted to find out are, would you go to war again? And how do you deal with your PTSD? Like, how could you give some, really good advice to some others of ways of just trying to get through that, pulling through it, and how you can live with that because it won't leave you from what you're saying.
So when I came back from Iraq into California, because that's where I was stationed, I had my girlfriend with the 2 kids because it kind of, I wanted the family feeling.
Yeah.
So I dated an older girl. I think she was like 30. She had 2 kids. You know, to me, it was great. It was a family that I could come home to. It made me feel safe.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I belong there.
Yeah.
And what was that question again with the
PTSD.
So like, as in, you said you won't go to war again.
No.
But how do you deal with your active PTSD? Like even now, how do you
keeping people close?
So when I came to her, I felt safe with her.
Okay.
And while we were out in Iraq, because you had different, so you had a team of 10 that would come back now, and another team of 10 that would come back a week later.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like everyone just came back all at once. It was kind of in
Staggered,
stages. Staggered, yeah. So one of the guys that came back killed his wife, his 2-year-old son, and then killed himself. So after that, they said everyone's going to a psychiatrist. Everyone's got to get evaluated by a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
So I didn't go. I said, fuck that. I'm not going to a shrink, bro. I'm not one of those people. So I went off base to stay with her because I had 10 days of leave accumulated. Like, they give you 10 days just to relax and do whatever you got to do.
Let your hair down, basically.
Bro, the military police come in, rip the door off the hinges, bro. With guns blazing into the house, fucking kids upstairs screaming, you know what I mean? Like proper, craziness. And they're like, guns on they got me on the ground, and they're like, you didn't go to your psyche evaluation. I'm like, boys, what the fuck is going on? Like,
I've just served this country.
I just came back from Iraq, man. Like, they're like, yeah, but you've been told numerous times that when you come back, you have to go see the doctors, and you haven't. So now you're endangering people. You're endangering civilians. You know, they take it as
because you might be unhinged.
Yeah,
that's how they see it, right?
You might just grab some guns and just start shooting the place up.
Another thing, last thing I wanted to sort of ask before we end the podcast is, say if there was a young kid and he did see one of these adverts online, join the army. It's a big family sort of thing. Let's go fight for the country. Would you have a small little advice or a little outtake just to finish it off on the podcast for the young person?
If you want discipline in your life, or if, let's say, you're lacking something like physical fitness or something like that.
Or just general direction?
General direction. Yeah. It's a great place to be. You have a lot of good friends. You have a lot of good men, young men, that want to belong to somewhere, to something. And it's kind of like a small family. Even after you finish, you still communicate with each other, you know, via Facebook or whatever the different means are now, Instagram. But you're still kind of there for each other. So, and to me, the military was good. The only problem is when there's any kind of war going on or any kind of serious conflicts, you don't want to go into the military. You want to go to the military when it's as peaceful as possible. Yeah. So you could get your free college tuition. You could stay close to home. You could see your family every couple of months, or do like those army reserves or something, one weekend in a month. That I would approve. But what I did was active duty, completely separate yourself from your family. They sent me on the other side of the country. It was like 3,000 miles away. You know, just craziness. I wouldn't recommend for no one. I wouldn't even recommend that for my enemy, to be honest, because no person should go through the trauma that me and some of these young men went through, especially with like war and then you find out the real reasons and you realize you're just a number, that they're just using you as a number. You're not a human. You're a number.
Your government property.
Your government property that's disposable.
Yeah.
Just like a gun or a bullet.
Well, Anthony, it's been a pleasure to have you on, and thank you for sharing your story with such confidence, and hopefully it can reach other people out there and maybe change someone's decision who's looking to go into the army or looking to do these things in life, whatever.
Because there's definitely war coming now.
Yeah, I wouldn't join now.
There's a war coming now, I can assure you that. Somewhere it's coming.
It doesn't feel like a peaceful time now. So
definitely not.
If there's a young man out there thinking about it, listen, go to college, sell drugs even.
Nah, don't do that. Don't
do that, kids.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
But that tells you how bad it is.
It actually
if
is.
if that's a better option.
The thing is, when you go to prison, because I've been to prison as well, and when you go to prison, you actually get better in prison because people want to help you. You get certain classes, you get certain schooling in prison that you could do.
Yeah, there's courses and stuff.
There's courses.
They want to develop you, don't they?
Of course, man. In the military, you're not going to develop. They're going to teach you how to kill people. They're going to they're going to mess with your mind and tell you, you don't need a family. What do you need a family for? You don't need this. Family. We are your family. You know, like they'll just manipulate your mind. So, of course, I'm not saying it's a good route, but listen, 4 years of your life wasted. Or if you go to prison for 6 months and then you get out, oh shit, I did a mistake. All right, let me change it a different way. Let me do things a different way. It's that 6 months is better than the 4 years that you just gave up for your country, which doesn't really care about you. Because
all they care about is that?
Yeah, I have friends that have missing limbs and legs, and all they got was like 50 grand.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, goodbye.
That says it all. But anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, boys, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
To have you on, man.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the guests before you go, or not?
Yes. Whatever happens in life, whatever ups and downs you go through, try to always keep your head up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, and however bad you think your life is, it could always get better. It cannot get any worse. You know what I mean? And you always have people that are around you that love you. Even your friends, even when they don't tell you they love you, they still care about you. Cool. There's always someone out there that cares about you. Yep. So whatever decisions that you make in your life, whether it be selling drugs or whatever, understand that every decision you make affects the people that love you, affects your mom, your dad, your family, your sisters, your cousins, the family that are around you. And if you go away to war or to prison or to anywhere else, those people are going to be in bits.
Most affected.
Those are the people that are really affected. It's a selfish thing of thinking, oh, well, I want this. I want to do this for me. No, always think on the bigger picture and how all your loved ones are going to be affected after everything that you do.
Well, everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like or subscribe, do what you want. Drop a comment down below, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Anthony, for coming on.
Thanks a lot, man.
Nice one. See you later.